Good evening, and welcome to Selection Sunday. I'm Ed DiCaria, founder of ThinkKidThink.com, home of the March Madness Poetry Tournament. I'm excited to be back hosting year 3 of this epic event. There are a few changes in the works this year that I hope will make the event bigger and better than ever. The most notable change is the way that the winner of each matchup will be determined this year. Instead of a straight public vote as we've done the last 2 years, athletes will now have to win 2 out of 3 separate votes. The first is the public vote, as it's always been. The second is an athlete vote, which is sort of like a peer review. And then the last is a student vote. And I'm happy to announce that we now have over 1,000 kids registered as official March Madness poetry voters from across the United States, with hopefully many more to come over the next 2 weeks. Now, let's talk about the tournament itself. For those unfamiliar with how March Madness brackets work, the tournament is divided into 4 regions of 16 athletes each. To keep everything better organized, the regions are named for 4 characteristics that I try to promote and develop in kids, those being humor, empathy, logic, and passion. Within each region, each poet is assigned a numbered seed from 1 through 16. These seeds are assigned completely randomly and do not reflect the skills or credentials of the athletes in any way. Instead, the seeds represent the level of difficulty of the word that each poet will be assigned throughout the first 4 rounds of the tournament. The higher the number, the harder the word will be to incorporate into a kid-appropriate poem. So 1 to 4 seed words should be pretty intuitive. 5 to 8 seeds should be somewhat reasonable. 9 to 12 seeds may seem a bit odd, and 13 to 16 seeds, have to admit, kind of seem impossible. But as our athletes continue to prove each year, nothing is impossible. Not even using words like meretricious, sesquipedalian, or narcotize in poems intended for kids. Now, briefly, before I unveil these brackets, I want to take a minute to thank those who took the time and courage to apply for this year's tournament, but who will not see their name flash on the screen over the course of the next few minutes. As I noted last year, narrowing this field to 64 is my very, very least favorite part of hosting this tournament, but obviously it has to be done. For those not selected as athletes this year, I hope that you will still share in the excitement of the event, and I truly welcome you to apply again next year. A number of last year's unselected applicants did just that, and several are among this year's participants. With that, let's jump right into the brackets and introduce the March Madness Poetry 2014 athletes. As always, we'll start with the first round matchups in the humor region. Our first matchup features first seed Glossen Tay versus number 16 seed Margot Lemieux. 8 seed Robert Schechter versus 9 seed Damon Dean. 5 seed Jean or Jean Daigneault versus 12 seed Nessa Morris. Number 4 seed David L. Harrison versus 13 seed Bonnie Bailey. 6 seed Angie Kidd versus 11 seed Ryan Stockton. 3 seed Shutta Crum versus 14 seed Darren Sardelli. 7 seed Melinda Harvey versus 10 seed Lynn Ward. And rounding out the humor bracket, 2 seed Jackie Sewell versus number 15 seed BJ Lee. Moving across to the empathy bracket, we have number 1 seed Joni McCulloch versus number 16 seed Julie Krantz. We have number 8 seed Jane Yolen versus number 9 seed Anna J. Bull. 5 seed Stephanie Farrow versus 12 seed Quinette Cook. 4 seed Elizabeth McBride versus 13 seed Angie Karcher. 6 seed Buffy Silverman versus 11 seed Matt Forrest Esenwine. 3 seed Kyle Hart versus 14 seed Vikram Madan. 7 seed Kathy Ellen Davis versus 10 seed Tiffany Strelitz-Haber. And 2 seed Jackie Wellington versus 15 seed Karen Linnell. Now we're going to go all the way to the bottom left of the bracket to the logic region. Start with number 1 seed Charles Waters versus 16 seed Miranda Paul. 8 seed Michelle Kruger. I think Michelle's had an 8 seed all 3 of the years so far. Versus 9 seed Donna Smith. 5 seed Deborah Schumacher versus 12 seed Michelle Heidenreich Barnes. 4 seed Debbie LaCroix versus 13 JJ Close. 6 seed Mariletta Robinson versus 11 Chris O'Carroll. 3 seed Vanessa Hancock versus 14 seed Alan Wolf. 7 seed March Madness Poetry 2012 champion Stephen W. Cahill versus 10 seed Kristen Foote. And 2 seed Anne McGee versus 15 seed Rebecca Colby. Finally, moving over to the Passion bracket, we have number 1 seed Michelle Norman versus number 16 seed Lori Degman. We have number 8 seed Joe Moore versus 9 seed Becca Heft. 5 seed Linda Bai versus 12 seed Heidi Morhorst. 4 seed Jim Hayes versus 13 seed Samuel Kent. 6 seed Suze Blackaby versus 11 seed Deborah Holt Williams. 3 seed Victoria Warnock versus 14 seed Patty Richards. 7 seed Katherine Johnson versus 10 seed Allie Keenan. And last but certainly not least, we have 2 seed Bruce Fallon versus 15 seed Jeannie Poland. Please join me in congratulating and welcoming these 64 athletes to the 2014 March Madness Poetry Tournament. The individual champion, after enduring 6 rounds of prompted poetry madness, will be awarded 1-year possession of the coveted Thinkier Trophy. But together, this team of 64 will contribute 126 new kids' poems to the world in just 3 weeks, which makes them all winners. And crazy, but mostly winners. Thanks for tuning in to this Selection Sunday special. Lots more to come on a near daily basis at thinkkidthink.com over the next 2 weeks. Here's a quick preview of the calendar. On Wednesday, I'll be putting a pair of practice poems up for vote. One's by me and one's by my alter ego, Charles Mund. On Friday, I'll begin my countdown to the madness with my top 10 favorite poems from last year's tournament, which I'll reveal 1 per day. And then the event officially begins when the first round first flight words are revealed to the athletes on Monday evening, March 17th, and the first vote opens to the public and to the athletes and to those official student voters on Wednesday morning, March 19th. Enjoy the madness.